3,000 years ago, the Galactic Council stood in their grand chamber and voted on a single question. Should humanity be allowed to live? The answer was no. The vote was nearly unanimous. Out of fear, envy, and anger, the Council ordered Earth to be destroyed. They claimed humans were too dangerous, too wild, too full of ambition. They said if humans were allowed to grow, they would conquer all other species. The Council's fleets gathered around Sol, Earth's star system, and unleashed a weapon of terrible power. In one flash of light, Earth was gone. The oceans turned to steam. The forests burned to ash. The cradle of humanity became nothing but dust orbiting the silent star. The Council rewrote history after that. They erased every record of Earth, every book, every data file that told of its existence. They told the galaxy that humanity had died long ago, a primitive species lost before it could rise. Most believed the lie. After centuries, the name Earth meant nothing. Humanity was forgotten, but not all humans had died. Far beyond Earth, in the dark edges of space, a fleet of human colonists had been traveling. They were settlers, explorers, and dreamers moving between stars with slow ships. When Earth was destroyed, their ships received fragments of the news. The messages were scattered, broken, but they carried one truth. Earth had fallen not by accident but by betrayal. The colonists wept. They screamed. They swore that their children and their children's children would never forget. And they kept their promise. For 3,000 years, the descendants of those colonists built in silence. They lived on barren worlds where no other species came. They mined asteroids and carved homes into moons. They had no council to guide them, no allies to support them, but they had memory. Every family told the story of Earth's death. Every child was raised with the vow, we remember they did more than remember. They prepared. The humans learned to survive in the harshest places. They rebuilt their technology with scraps and stolen blueprints. They created ships stronger than any the Council had ever seen. They did not waste resources on luxury or beauty. Every design was made for war, for endurance, for vengeance. Generations passed. Centuries turned to millennia. The humans who survived in exile became harder, sharper, more united. They called themselves the descendants of Earth. Now 3,000 years after the fall, the descendants were ready. Admiral Cale Arden stood at the center of his flagship, Iron Resolve. The ship was massive, a dark spear of steel and shadow drifting through the void. Its hull was layered with armor forged from collapsed stars. Its engines glowed with hybrid technology, part human invention, part stolen alien designs. Its weapons were quiet for now, but their power could shatter fleets. Cale himself was a tall man, his hair streaked with silver, his face marked by years of command. His eyes carried the weight of generations. In them burned the memory of Earth, though he had never seen it. No human alive had, yet in every heart, Earth lived like a ghost. Around him, officers stood at their stations. Men and women trained for war, wearing uniforms marked with the symbol of their people, a blue circle broken by fire, with a single star rising above it. Kyle looked at them and spoke in a voice steady and cold. 3,000 years ago, they thought they destroyed us. They thought we would vanish into the dark, forgotten. His eyes narrowed, but we endured. We built, we waited, and now, he lifted his hand toward the stars on the screen, where a council world lay glowing with city lights. Now we return! The crew stood silent, their faces hard with the same fire. Kyle's second-in-command, Commander Reyna, stepped forward. She was younger than Kyle, sharp-eyed and fierce. Our fleets are ready, Admiral. Every ship is in position. Shall we begin? Cale's gaze swept over the bridge. He thought of the stories his grandmother told him when he was a child. Stories of oceans, forests, skies so blue they seemed endless. Stories of Earth. He thought of how it had all been taken, not by nature, not by accident, but by the choice of others. Yes, he said. Send the order. The galaxy has forgotten us. It is time to remind them. The first strike came without warning. On the far edges of the Council's territory, a small outpost guarded a mining colony. It was a quiet place with only a few ships and a handful of soldiers. For centuries, no enemy had ever come there. Then the sky burned. Human warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, dark and silent. They moved with precision, their weapons cutting through the outpost defenses like paper. In less than an hour, the outpost was gone. Not a single survivor remained. But before the humans left, they broadcast a message across the system. The voice was cold, carrying across every screen. Every communicator. We are the descendants of Earth, we remember. Then the signal ended, leaving silence. The council dismissed it at first. In their great chamber, filled with representatives from 100 species, the attack was seen as nothing more than pirates or rebels. The council had ruled for so long without challenge that the idea of a true enemy seemed laughable. But then came the second strike, and the third. Human fleets struck at trade routes, shipyards, border stations. Every time they moved like ghosts. Every time they left the same message, we remember. Panic spread. Merchants whispered of shadows in space. Soldiers spoke of ships faster and stronger than anything they had seen. Some began to fear the impossible, that these attackers were human. The council scoffed. Humanity is gone, they said. Earth was destroyed. The records prove it, but doubt had begun to grow. Back on Iron Resolve, Kyle listened to the intercepted broadcast from the council. They call us ghosts, Reyna said with a thin smile. Let them, Kyle replied. It will make the truth cut deeper when they realize we are real. He stood before a map of the galaxy, where bright stars marked council worlds. His fleet was small compared to the galaxy, but every strike was chosen carefully, every wound deep. We will not fight them all at once, Kyle told his officers. We will bleed them, weaken them, remind them of their crime. And when the time comes, we will strike at their heart. And then? Reyna asked. Kale's voice turned hard. Then we will see justice for Earth. On one of the council worlds, a young alien senator named Lysera sat in her private chambers, studying forbidden archives. She was tall and slender, with pale skin that shimmered faintly under the light. Her people, the Scifi, had been part of the council for thousands of years. She had grown up believing in their peace and order. But the new attacks had unsettled her, and she had begun to search for answers. What she found shocked her. Buried deep, hidden beneath layers of secrecy, were fragments of old records, files that spoke of Earth, of humanity, of a vote taken long ago. They were incomplete, but they carried enough truth. Her hands trembled as she read. The council had lied. Humanity had not vanished naturally. Humanity had been erased. Now the ghosts had returned. Lysera closed the files and sat back, her mind racing. If the truth was revealed, the council would collapse. The people of the galaxy would never forgive such a crime. But if the truth stayed hidden, the humans would bring war without end. She whispered to herself, "What have we done?" Far across the stars on Iron Resolve, Admiral Cale Arden stood alone at the viewport, staring into the endless dark. He thought of Earth. He thought of oceans he had never seen, mountains he had never climbed, skies he had never breathed. He thought of how it was all stolen before he was born, and in the silence of space he made a vow. "They thought they destroyed us," he whispered, "but we are still here, and we will never forgive." The stars burned quietly before him, waiting. Humanity was no longer forgotten. Humanity had returned. The chamber of the Galactic Council stretched high like a cathedral, its ceiling glittering with artificial stars. Hundreds of seats curved around the central floor, where delegates of every major species sat in their elegant robes. Their voices filled the hall, angry, fearful, and confused. For centuries, the chamber had been a place of calm debates and slow politics. But now the air was thick with unease. The attacks would not stop. In less than a year, 20 outposts had fallen. 4 trade routes were ruined. Whole fleets had been destroyed without warning. And every time the attackers left the same words, "We are the descendants of Earth. We remember." The council had no answer. High Chancellor Elyrus, a heavy being with scales like stone, slammed a fist against his desk. His voice rumbled through the chamber. "This is impossible. Humanity is extinct. Their homeworld was destroyed 3,000 years ago. You all know this." But other voices rose in reply. "Then who attacks us?" shouted the senator of the Dravari. His many eyes blinked nervously. "These ships move faster than ours. Their weapons pierce our shields. Pirates do not wield such power." "They must be rebels," said another. "Perhaps a coalition of criminals using the name of humanity to frighten us." Yet none spoke with true certainty. For the first time in ages, the mighty council felt doubt. Senator Lysera sat quietly in her seat, her pale hands clasped in her lap. She listened to the arguments, but her mind was elsewhere. She knew the truth. Hidden in her private archive were the files she had uncovered, fragments of records that told of Earth's destruction. The vote had been real. The erasure had been real. Humanity had not died naturally. They had been murdered by the council itself. She looked around the chamber. How many of these proud senators knew the truth? How many had chosen to bury it? Her heart pounded as she thought of the human fleet striking with precision, leaving their message behind like a scar. They were not ghosts. They were not myths. They were the children of the council's crime returned at last. But if Lysera spoke the truth now, the galaxy would burn in chaos. Every species would rise against the council for hiding such a crime. Yet if she stayed silent, the humans would burn the galaxy anyway. She was trapped between silence and fire. Meanwhile, Admiral Cale Arden stood aboard Iron Resolve, listening to intercepted broadcasts from the council chamber. The voices of the senators echoed through the ship's speakers. Some shouted in denial, some in fear. None understood. Cale stood with his hands behind his back, his expression hard. "They are afraid," said Commander Reyna, standing at his side. "But they still refuse to accept the truth. They cannot even admit we live." "Good," Cale replied. His voice was cold, calm. "Fear is the first wound. Doubt is the second. Soon their own people will rise against them. We need only strike the right places." He turned toward the map projected before him. Dozens of stars glowed there, each representing a council world. Some burned brighter than others, the core planets wealthy and proud. Others flickered faintly, the border worlds weak and forgotten. "We will not waste our strength on their core," Kyle said. "Not yet. We cut their trade. We strike their fleets. We make them bleed slowly. Let them watch their empire crumble piece by piece, and when they are weak?" Reyna asked. Cale's eyes burned. "Then we finish what they began." The council, desperate, formed a plan. A fleet of 200 warships was assembled, gathered from dozens of species. They called it the Shield of Unity. The fleet was meant to hunt down the attackers and prove the council's strength. Admiral Kethar, a proud reptilian commander, stood at the head of the fleet. He believed the humans were nothing more than raiders hiding behind myths. "We will crush them swiftly," he declared. "And we will end this ghost story once and for all." But the fleet never returned. It happened near the Nebran Expanse, a stretch of empty space filled with drifting ice and silent rocks. The council's fleet arrived in formation, their weapons ready, their shields bright. Then the humans came, not with numbers, not with size, but with precision. Cale's armada emerged from the dark like shadows, their black ships sliding between asteroids. Their weapons flared only once, but that was enough. Human missiles tore through the fleet's shields. Human railguns punched holes through hulls, and their electronic warfare blinded the council's ships, leaving them helpless in the void. In less than 2 hours, the Shield of Unity was gone. Out of 200 warships, fewer than 10 escaped. Those survivors carried only one message, broadcast across every channel as the human fleet vanished back into the dark. "We are the descendants of Earth. We remember." The council chamber erupted in chaos. "They cannot be human," some cried. "They are stronger than us." "How is this possible?" others shouted. Whispers spread through the galaxy. Merchants, citizens, and soldiers began to question the old stories. Had the council lied? Was Earth's destruction not natural but chosen? Rumors spread like fire. Ordinary people began to look at their leaders with suspicion. And in the shadows of her chamber, Senator Lysera made her choice. She sent a hidden message into the void. Not to the council, not to her allies, but directly toward the human fleets. It carried only a few words. "I know the truth. I know what the council did, please. Listen." On Iron Resolve, Cale read the message in silence. Reyna frowned. "A trap?" "Perhaps," Cale said. "But perhaps not." He studied the words again. No council senator had dared speak of Earth in centuries. If this Lysera knew the truth, it meant the council's lies were cracking. Cale closed his fist. "We will answer her. But not yet. Let her wait. Let her fear what answer we might give." Life across the galaxy began to change. In the great cities of the core worlds, riots broke out. Citizens demanded answers. Why were these attackers so strong? Why did they claim to be human? What did the council hide? On border planets, some whispered admiration. These humans fought with courage, striking against the proud council that had long ignored the weak. Some began to wonder if perhaps the humans should be allies, not enemies. The council tried to silence the unrest. They censored news, arrested protesters, and doubled their patrols. But fear had already rooted itself in the hearts of millions. Lizera walked through the streets of her homeworld's capital in disguise. She saw citizens gathered in secret, speaking of the ghosts of Earth. She heard their voices filled with both fear and hope, and she knew the council could not hold the truth much longer. When she returned to her chambers, she opened her archive again and stared at the fragments of the old vote. She saw the names of the species who had chosen destruction, who had raised their voices to erase Earth. She whispered to herself, "If the humans learn this, they will not stop. They will destroy us all," and yet, part of her wondered if they had the right. Far away, on the edge of council space, Kale gathered his captains. They stood around a circular table, their holographic maps glowing with targets. Each captain was hardened, each face marked by loss and memory. "Our enemy grows weaker," Kyle said. "They hide behind lies and fear. But we will not stop. Every strike we make tears another piece of their empire away." He raised his hand clenched into a fist. "They destroyed our home. They erased our history. Now we will erase theirs." The captain spoke as one. "We remember." The vow echoed through the chamber, heavy as steel. In the silent dark of space, the human fleet moved again. Their ships slid through the void like hunters, guided by memory, fueled by vengeance. And across the galaxy, the council trembled. They had tried to bury the past, but the past had returned, and humanity was not finished. What had begun as whispers of impossible attacks had grown into outright panic. Trade routes were disrupted, entire colonies burned, fleets destroyed, and everywhere the message echoed, "We are the descendants of Earth. We remember." The council had no choice now. The humans were not myths. They were real, and they were unstoppable. Senator Lizera paced in her private quarters, her pale skin glimmering in the dim light of her office. The secret files of Earth's destruction lay before her, holographic projections flickering across her desk. She read the names again, the species, the leaders, the council members who had voted to erase humanity. Each name was a wound, a scar that had festered for 3,000 years. Now Kale Arden and his fleet were returning that wound to the galaxy itself. Lizera knew that if she revealed these names, she risked not just her life, but the lives of millions. Yet she also understood the humans' message. They were not acting randomly. Every strike had precision, every attack calculated. They were delivering judgment, and the galaxy was the court. Her communicator beeped. It was a coded message from Kale. "We have received your message. Meet us, we will judge." Lizera hesitated. One part of her screamed that it was a trap. Another part knew she had no choice. Finally, she whispered to herself, "I have to know." She activated the coordinates. Within moments, a small transport ship departed, carrying her toward the human fleet. Meanwhile, Admiral Kyle prepared his forces. Iron Resolve led the armada through the Kellen Nebula, a chaotic field of gas and debris. The ships moved with eerie precision, dodging natural hazards and human-made mines alike. Every pilot knew their role. Every weapon was ready. Kyle studied the tactical map projected in front of him. Multiple council worlds were marked for strategic strikes, not to destroy them completely, but to cripple, to show the galaxy what humans could do. He turned to Commander Reyna. "We do not fight them for pleasure. We fight them to be remembered. Every system we strike is a reminder of Earth's erasure. Every ship we destroy is a message. They cannot erase us again." Reyna nodded. "And the council fleet?" "They will come," Kale said, his voice low. "And when they do, they will find out how strong we have become." The first target was a border world called Varellis. It had long been a mining hub, its factories producing weapons for the council's fleets. The planet was lightly defended with only a small patrol fleet in orbit. The human armada appeared suddenly, dropping out of faster-than-light travel just beyond the planet's system. Ships moved like shadows, slipping past sensors and shields. Kale watched as Reyna gave the command. "Begin." In an instant, missiles streaked across space, tearing through the patrol fleet before it could mount a defense. Energy beams cut the factories and communications arrays went dark. The planet was crippled but not destroyed. Before the humans left, they broadcast a message across all channels. "We remember. You chose to erase our home. Now you will feel our judgment." The people of Varellis heard the message and fear gripped their hearts. Rumors of Earth's destruction, long dismissed, now became real. Humans were alive, and they were angry. Word spread fast. Across the Council's territory, citizens began to whisper about the humans. Merchants in distant spaceports told stories of their fleet. Pilots described their precision, and scientists examined the remnants of destroyed ships, unable to understand the technology. The humans were using a combination of stolen alien designs and innovations no one had seen before. Weapons that could pierce shields, engines that moved faster than expected, electronic warfare that scrambled sensors and communications. The Council's response was chaotic. Fleets were sent only to vanish. Border worlds called for reinforcements that never arrived. The political machine of the Council, slow and bloated, could not keep up. Chaos spread like wildfire, and for the first time in centuries, fear gripped the galaxy. Lysera's transport ship approached Iron Resolve cautiously. Sensors picked up her signal, but Kale recognized her immediately. He had studied her species and her unique communication signature. A docking beam extended and the small craft attached itself to the human flagship. Lysera stepped aboard, tense but determined. Kale met her personally. He was taller than most humans, his eyes sharp and unyielding. Behind him, Reyna watched silently, her hand hovering near the controls. "You know why you are here," Kale said. Lysera nodded. "I know what the Council did. I know Earth was destroyed by their order. And I know why you are striking the galaxy." Kale's expression did not soften. Do you? Do you understand what it means to erase a world? To destroy a home, a history, a people, and then tell everyone it never existed?" "I do," she said, her voice trembling. "I have seen the records. I know the names of those who voted for it. I know the species that raised their voices to destroy your world." Kale's fists clenched. "And what do you think should happen now?" Lysera hesitated. I think the guilty must answer. But the innocent must be spared. There is still a way to rebuild. There is still a way to make the galaxy just." Kale studied her silently. He saw her fear. He saw her honesty. And he saw her hope. "Perhaps," he said finally. "But the guilty will not survive." Lysera nodded. "Then we will see if justice is possible without total destruction." The humans returned to their fleet. Kale called his captains. "Lysera knows the truth," he said. "She has agreed to help us. Her knowledge of the Council's inner workings is valuable, but we do not trust the Council, not now. Not ever." The captains nodded. Each one remembered the stories of Earth. Each one remembered the loss their ancestors had suffered, and each one was ready to fight. "Prepare for the next strikes," Kale ordered. "We will cut the Council's strength in half within this cycle. We will leave them fearful and divided, and then we will make them remember what they did." The human armada moved again. This time they targeted a system known as Travasa, a major shipbuilding hub for the Council. Fleets in orbit attempted to intercept them, but the humans anticipated every move. They deployed electronic jammers that blinded the sensors of the Council ships. They used high-speed maneuvers that no one had ever seen before. In the battle, 50 Council ships were destroyed. The remaining vessels retreated, battered and confused. Human fighters landed on the planet, disabling shipyards and communication towers. Again, the humans left a message for the population. "We remember. Your leaders voted to erase our home. Now you see the consequence of their choice." The people of Travasa were shaken. Many began to question the Council openly, asking why humanity had been destroyed and why their leaders had hidden the truth. Lysera acted quickly. Using her access to the Council's archives, she transmitted secret data to Kale. It contained the names of all Council members involved in the vote, the species that had advocated for Earth's destruction, and details of the secret operations that followed. Kale studied the files carefully. "This is everything we need," he said. "Now we know who must face justice." He turned to Reyna. "Prepare the next phase. We will strike only the guilty. The rest will live, but they will know what we are capable of." Reyna nodded. "And the galaxy?" Kale's eyes burned. "The galaxy will see the humans are no longer victims. They will see what it means to erase a people. The council grew desperate. Their fleets were failing, their people questioning them. Some species openly refused to fight. Merchants and civilians began secretly aiding the humans, providing supplies and information. Fear had turned into rebellion. High Chancellor Elyrus raged in the chamber. This is an insult. Humanity is extinct. You are betraying your own council. But the protests continued. Entire worlds demanded truth. The citizens wanted to know why the humans were alive, why Earth had been destroyed, and why the council had lied. For the first time, the power of the council faltered. Its empire, built on fear and lies, began to crack. Kyle watched the galaxy from his flagship. The humans had achieved something remarkable. They were not merely waging war. They were rewriting history. Every strike reminded the galaxy of its sins. Every message reminded the council that their power was temporary. He spoke to his officers. History has forgotten Earth. The galaxy believed our people were gone. But we have returned, and now the truth spreads. Every world we touch, every fleet we destroy is a reminder of their crime. His captains nodded, understanding the weight of the mission. This was more than revenge. This was justice written across the stars. Meanwhile, Lysera remained aboard Iron Resolve, assisting Kale in strategic planning. She revealed hidden weaknesses in the Council's fleet, secret supply lines, and protected worlds. We can cripple them further, she said. We can take away their ability to respond. Kyle nodded. We will, but we must remember our goal is not total destruction. We fight for memory, for justice, for Earth. The rest, the innocent, must live to witness what they did. Lysera studied him, realizing that the humans' mission was not only about revenge, it was about teaching the galaxy a lesson. The humans' next move was bold. They targeted the Council's core world, the seat of power itself. Ships moved at incredible speed, skimming past defenses and avoiding sensors. Human fighters disabled planetary shields and communication networks. For the first time in centuries, the citizens of the core world saw a human ship in orbit. Panic spread as the humans broadcasted their message. We are the descendants of Earth. We remember. For the first time in 3,000 years, its leaders realized the full scale of their failure. Fleet after fleet had been shattered. Worlds that had once been obedient and loyal now questioned their rulers openly. Citizens demanded answers. Fear had become fury, and in the sky above their capital, the human fleet hovered like a storm, silent, massive, and unavoidable. At the head of the armada was Iron Resolve, the flagship of Admiral Kale Arden. Its dark hull reflected the lights of the Council's cities, a silent reminder of the humans' arrival. Every weapon was ready, every pilot prepared. Every mind focused. Kale stood on the command deck, gazing at the glowing world below. He could feel the weight of centuries on his shoulders. This was the moment they had prepared for their entire existence, the moment to confront those who had erased Earth. Beside him, Commander Reyna spoke quietly. Are you certain this is the right moment, Admiral? Kale's eyes never left the planet. It is the only moment. We cannot delay. Justice cannot wait. In the council chamber, panic erupted. High Chancellor Elyrus slammed a clawed fist on the polished surface of his desk. We must strike. We must destroy them before they attack the core. You cannot, shouted Lysera, standing among the council delegates. Her voice trembled, but her resolve was firm. Do you not see? Humanity is not here to destroy everything. They are here to punish the guilty and to remind the innocent. The room fell silent. Many delegates looked at her in shock. How could she, a loyal senator, speak so boldly against the council? Lysera raised her hand, projecting the archives of the old vote across the chamber. Holographic images of documents, names, and species filled the room. Gasps echoed through the hall. You erased Earth, she said. You ordered its destruction. You lied to your own people for centuries. Now the humans are here and the truth is no longer hidden. Some delegates paled. Others whispered angrily to one another. Fear spread. For the first time, the council realized that the humans were not only strong, they were righteous. On the surface of the planet, citizens watched the human fleet through public screens. Millions saw the massive ships, the sleek black vessels moving silently in orbit. Their fear was mixed with awe. Some whispered prayers. Others hoped for protection. All knew history had returned. Kale broadcast a message to the world. We are the descendants of Earth. We remember. The guilty will answer. The innocent will live and they will witness justice. The words echoed across every city, across every planet connected to the network. People felt the weight of them, a reminder that the Council's lies could not hide the truth. Kale turned to his captains. "Prepare the strike teams," he ordered. "We will confront the guilty directly. Only those responsible will face our judgment." Maps of the Council's inner world glowed on the holoscreen. Names of guilty leaders were highlighted. Locations of key assets, defense hubs, and military stations were mapped. The humans moved with precision, targeting only what was necessary to immobilize the guilty. Civilian areas were untouched. "Every strike is calculated," Kale said. "We do not destroy for pleasure. We destroy for memory. We destroy to remind them of what they did to Earth." The first targets were the strongholds of the Council leaders who had voted for Earth's destruction. As human forces approached, they deployed rapid disabling pulses to paralyze weapon systems and communications. Council warships scrambled to defend the planet, but their formations were broken within hours. Lysera worked alongside Kale, sending encrypted commands that guided human ships past secret defense arrays and traps. "They are surprised," she said. "They thought their defenses were impenetrable. They underestimated the humans," Kale nodded. "They always do." One by one, the guilty leaders were cornered. Human boarding teams arrived, taking them prisoner. No unnecessary violence was used. These were trials, not executions. But the sight of humans walking calmly through once untouchable corridors instilled fear, unlike anything the Council had ever known. The citizens of the Council's worlds watched these events unfold. Public broadcasts from Lysera's archives revealed the truth in every home. For the first time, ordinary people understood what had been done to Earth and to humanity. Outrage spread. Peaceful protests turned into demands for reform. Entire factions of the Council's own forces refused to fight against the humans. Kyle observed this from his deck. "The galaxy is beginning to understand," he said. "They see who is righteous and who is guilty." Reyna frowned. "Do you think any will resist now?" Kale's gaze hardened. "Some will try, but no one can hide from the truth." In the capital, High Chancellor Olyrus realized the severity of the situation. His advisors pleaded for a defensive strike, but every fleet they deployed had already been disabled or turned against them. Citizens were rebelling. Military officers refused orders. The Council's power was crumbling. Olyrus finally understood. Humanity's return was not just a military campaign. It was a reckoning. In desperation, he attempted a broadcast to all worlds. "Citizens of the galaxy, humanity is a threat. Obey the Council.
Stand with us or face annihilation."
The message was met with outrage. Instead of obedience, thousands of individuals and groups openly defied him. Lysera intercepted the broadcast and sent counter-messages, exposing Olyrus's lies and revealing the human mission of justice. The Council's credibility collapsed entirely. Kale convened a meeting with his captains and Lysera. They had captured most of the guilty Council members. The rest were hiding, but no corner of the galaxy was safe. "Now comes the question," Kale said. "Do we destroy them completely, or do we give them a chance to rebuild under the weight of truth?" Reyna spoke first. "The people need stability. If we destroy everything, the galaxy will plunge into chaos. But if we show mercy to the innocent, they will see that humanity is just." Kyle considered. He remembered the oceans, the forests, the skies of Earth. They had been stolen, yes, but vengeance alone would not bring them back. He wanted justice, not mindless destruction. "Then we give the guilty no power," Kale said, "but we spare the innocent. Let the galaxy remember Earth through us, not through ruins." Lysera nodded. "I will help. The archives will ensure that the truth is preserved. The Council cannot hide anymore." The humans moved to enforce their decision. Systems controlled by the guilty leaders were occupied. Ships were confiscated, leaders imprisoned, and all military assets neutralized. Civilians were protected, given aid, and told the truth about what had happened to Earth. For the first time, many species felt the weight of what had been done 3,000 years ago. Anger turned to understanding. Hatred turned to support. Slowly, the galaxy began to align with the descendants of Earth. Kale watched as new alliances formed, as former enemies became allies. "This is not only war," he said. "It is a rebirth, a chance to rebuild what was lost, not to destroy more." The final confrontation came when Olyrus attempted to flee to a hidden stronghold. Kale intercepted him. Human ships blocked all exits. Ground teams captured the Chancellor and the remaining guilty council members. They were brought before a council of representatives, led by Lysera and Kale. Each guilty leader faced the testimony of countless civilizations, the evidence of Earth's destruction, and the knowledge of humanity's survival. Elyrus tried to justify himself, claiming fear had driven the vote. But the proof was undeniable. He had chosen destruction, and he would face judgment. Kale spoke last. Earth was taken from us. Our people were scattered, hunted, and erased. You are guilty. Your names will never be forgotten, and your power is gone. The galaxy will see what happens when innocence is destroyed. Once justice was served, Kale addressed the galaxy directly. Holographic broadcasts reached billions across countless systems. We are the descendants of Earth. We have returned. We remember. The guilty have been judged. The innocent will live. From now on, no world, no people will be erased again. We will ensure justice, peace, and memory. The message resonated. Entire civilizations cheered, some wept. Some knelt in honor of the humans who had returned not only for revenge, but for justice and guidance. Lysera stood beside Kale on the deck of Iron Resolve, gazing at the council's capital. You have done more than fight, she said. You have changed the galaxy. Kale remained silent for a moment, then nodded. We fought to be remembered. Now the galaxy remembers. But remembering is only the beginning. We must guide it forward, so no one ever repeats the mistakes of the past. Lysera smiled faintly. And Earth? Kale's eyes softened. Earth may be gone, but it lives in us. In every child, every ship, every memory. One day we will plant new worlds in its honor. One day the galaxy will see Earth reborn. Years later, after the Council's empire had been replaced by a union of free worlds, Kale visited a small park on a newly colonized world. Children played beneath young trees, their laughter echoing across the open field. He carried a small seed, one of the last from Earth, preserved across millennia. Kneeling, he planted it in the soil. Earth lives again, he whispered. Not in ashes, but in hope. Not in ruins, but in memory. The children watched, unaware of the centuries of pain that had led to this moment. They only saw life, growth, and possibility. And above them the stars shone quietly, as if bearing witness to the return of humanity. For 3,000 years, the galaxy had believed Earth was lost. Now humanity had